This is Todd, and today I am at St. Andrews or Andrews Cemetery in Olphir, O-L-P-H-I-R, Georgia. Probably used to be a little town. Now it's just a community on a map. The cemetery here dates back to the early to mid 1800s. So this particular video I am doing for my daughter-in-law because we are about to go and see some of her distant relatives. These aren't direct descendants from her line, but they all go back to a common third or fourth great-grandfather. So let's get started on the walk and we'll see what happens. So daughter, this is for you. Now, in walking up here, I am quite certain that I did see a few unmarked graves, maybe some fieldstone markers, and a couple little piles. As you can see, here's a footstone here, headstone there, another foot here, headstone there. Don't know if it's legible or not. I don't think so. No writing on either side. This looks to be library. This looks to be one right here, maybe. And this first one we have here is in memory of Mary Donald, born the 26th of March, 1806. Departed this life the 23rd of September, 1869, age 63 years, 5 months, 27 days.
Mary Ann Polly Lipford was the eldest daughter of Royal Nathaniel Lipford and Obedience Ellington, who was born in Abbeville, South Carolina. She married Reverend John Andrew Donald on August 28, 1828. They moved to Ophir, Georgia around 1860. They had 9 children together, 8 of which survived into adulthood.
And this would be the footstone for her. Another burial here. This is Thomas Francis, private. Looks to be the 7th North Carolina Militia. War of 1812. September 28, 1876.
Thomas Francis was born on September 28, 1786 in Campbell County, Virginia, the youngest of 6 children to John and Mary Francis. After his father's death around 1792, the family estate was processed by the county. A few years later, in 1797, Mary sold their Virginia farm and moved the family to Statesville in Iredell County, North Carolina. Accompanying them were Thomas's sister Lucy and her husband Caleb Condrey. An earlier settler, William Francis, likely a relative, was already living near Statesville. In 1801, Mary purchased 184 acres on the north side of South Rocky Creek, where she raised her younger children, including Thomas. By the 1810 census, Thomas, then 24, was head of a household, likely sharing it with his mother and a sister. Neighbors included families that would become closely linked to the Francises, the Condreys, Hollands, Sharps, Eadsons, and others. With the onset of the War of 1812, Thomas enlisted in John McLean's 16th Company of the 7th North Carolina Militia. In late 1813, the unit was called to active duty, joining Andrew Jackson's campaign against the Creek Indians in Alabama and Georgia. Thomas's service included stationing at forts such as Fort Decatur and Fort Bainbridge. By mid-1814, his regiment returned to North Carolina. Mary Francis passed away in 1816, leaving her land to Thomas and naming him executor of her will. Her estate also mentioned several grandchildren. 2 years later, in 1818, Thomas married Elizabeth Holland, whose family lived nearby and was already connected to the Francises through several marriages. As a veteran, Thomas received 2 land grants, one in Minnesota and another in Alabama. He sold the Minnesota land without visiting it and traded the Alabama parcel for property in Georgia, likely through family connections. Through the 1820s and 1830s, Thomas and Elizabeth lived in Iredell County with their growing family. Their children included Rosetta, Mary A., Arnold H., Cynthia, Elizabeth Rebecca, and Nancy A. Their extended families, Hollands, Eadsons, Piles, and others, remained close by, forming a tight-knit community. In the early 1830s, Georgia opened up land previously belonging to the Cherokee through a lottery system. Thomas acquired property through this system and around 1845 moved his family to Cherokee County, Georgia. In 1846, he officially purchased 80 acres, comprising 2 land lots near Settendown Creek and Poole's Mill. This became the Francis family homestead. By the 1850 census, Thomas and Elizabeth were living in Forsyth County, Georgia, with 9 of their children. 10 years later, in 1860, only 3 daughters, Adeline, Emmeline, and Susan, remained at home. The farm was valued at $700 with $215 in personal property. Though Thomas did not fight in the Civil War due to his age, the conflict heavily impacted the region. By 1870, he and Elizabeth still lived on the family farm, now valued at $500, with daughters Nancy and Sarah living with them, along with Susan Haygood, a relative by marriage. Thomas Francis died on his 90th birthday, September 28, 1876, and was buried at Andrews Chapel near Goldfield, Georgia, alongside his daughter Mary A. Wilkie. Elizabeth survived him and was recorded in the 1880 census, living with daughters Nancy and Sarah. Nearby lived her daughter Rosetta Creamer and grandson Thomas Madison Francis. Elizabeth passed away in 1883 and was likely buried next to her husband in an unmarked grave.
Died the year of the centennial. Thank you very much for your service and sacrifice, sir. All right, there are more stones over here, but instead I'm going to walk back through here and see if I can't see any more. Here's another footstone. This might be a headstone here. It is. This is Mary Wilecki, born April 13th, 1821, died January 21st, 1898. Wilkie. Here's a footstone here and there. Looks to be another burial here. All these little patches of lilies still here. And a faux tomb here. Have to be kind of careful where I step. Here we have Mary A.E. Pascoe, was born April 28, 1859, died January 26, 1863, aged 3 years, 8 months, 28 days, and an infant son, children of J. and M. E. Pascoe. Wow. We have this here, this Looks to be the original slab. We have Private Jeremiah Pasco, Company E, 36th Georgia Infantry, CSA, 1822 to 1867.
Jeremiah Pasco was born in Truro, England, to John Henry Pasco and Grace Bennett. Before settling in Georgia, Jeremiah served in the Royal Navy. He spent 4 years aboard a British man-o-war participating in the Opium Wars in China, marking his early years with notable military service. In 1851, Jeremiah emigrated from Liverpool, England, and settled in Cherokee County. He established his home next to his brother John Pasco, who immigrated in 1837 and who owned the Pasco gold mine. 2 years later, in 1853, he applied for U.S. citizenship in Georgia and married Mary Emmeline Leonard in Cherokee County, where they would raise 4 children together. When the Civil War broke out, Jeremiah enlisted on April 5, 1862, as a private in Company E, 36th Georgia Infantry. In 1863, he was transferred to the Confederate Navy under Special Order No. 2620, issued by the Adjutant and Inspector General's office in Richmond. He was ordered to report to Captain Tatnall at Savannah. Jeremiah passed away on August 12, 1867, at the age of 45.
Thank you very much for your service and sacrifice, sir. Yes, this is the original one. You can barely see his name on it and a few dates. Another head and foot stone. Here we have Sacred to the memory of Elizabeth J. Wilkie, second consort of A.H. Wilkie, age 30 years. Age 30. Wonder if she may have passed during childbirth. It's quite possible. And then here we have Mary Wilkie, consort of A.H. Wilkie, who departed this life May 21st, 1856, age 30 years, 7 months, and 9 days. Wow. Another consort that died quite early. And is there anything on this side? Nope. We'll check the other side. Here we go. Andrew H. Wilkie, born December 31st, 1821. Died November 28, 1893, age 71 years, 10 months, and 27 days. Whew, skeeters and spider webs. Some more stones here. Here we have another headstone. And this is in memory of Anne Moore, wife of John Moore, born in the county of Cornwall, England. Died September 7th, 1876, age about 62 years. So, straight from England. Wow. Now this is a large one. This must be Mr. John Moore. The affectionate husband of Miss Anne Moore was born in the county of Devonshire, England, March 27th, 1821. Departed this life June 8th, 1865. Age 44 years, 2 months, and 19 days. This is a tomb that's fallen in. Just have to be careful.
Not likely.
This was once the burial place of John Pascoe, brother of Jeremiah Pascoe, who was born on March 26, 1806, in Cornwall, England. He was the owner and operator of the Pascoe Gold Mine near Ballground, GA. He died on January 23, 1853, of apparent arsenic poisoning from the arsenic used in the smelting of gold. He was just 46 years old. It was long rumored that he was buried with gold bars. Grave robbers broke the slab and plundered his grave so many times, the family removed his coffin and reburied it in a secret hiding place on his property.
Here's another headstone over here by its lonesome. Let's walk over and have head and footstone here. And this is Abby A. Wyatt, wife of John H. Wyatt, born June 26, 1857, departed this life March 1st, 1883. Wow.
Let me show you.
Now, these are now the main reason that I came here. I'm glad I found them. Here we have John I. Gilstrap, born March 4th, 1833, died September 21st, 1862. I do know that he was a Civil War veteran. He died in battle. And you can see CSA up here. This is not a VA marker. This was done probably at the time of his death. John Lewis Gilstrap was the son of William Maxwell and Delilah Durham Gilstrap. He married Elizabeth Pascoe, daughter of Samuel and Mary Jackson Pascoe, and had 2 children. John and his brother Charles enlisted together on May 8, 1862, into the 56th Georgia Infantry Regiment. Just 4 short months later, John died of disease in Tunnel Hill, Georgia. He was 29. And I just scared the patootie out of myself because my walking cane fell behind me and I thought something was coming up from behind me. Here we have Charles Asbeny Gilstrap, Private Company D, 56th Georgia Infantry, Confederate States Army, January 25th, 1829 to December 4th, 1862. I believe these two were brothers or cousins. Charles Asbury Gilstrap was the eldest son of William Maxwell and Delilah Gilstrap, and brother to John. He married Martha Jane Wilson in 1850 and had 5 children. Again, Charles and his brother John enlisted together and served in the same unit. A few months after John's death, Charles and the 56th Infantry loaned out their services to the state of Tennessee as its forces moved on to Vicksburg. On December 4th, 1862, in a skirmish just outside of Vicksburg, Charles was killed. He was 33. I'll provide more information on them. And now, if I can try to stay out of this poison ivy that's here, we have William Gilstrap, born September 10th, 1805, died May 14th, 1871. William Maxwell Gilstrap was born to Elizabeth Maxwell and Lewis Wiley Gilstrap. Shortly after his birth, the family moved to Pickens County, South Carolina, where he would grow up. William married Delilah Durham, and they had 7 children together. Delilah passed away in 1854. In 1857, William remarried, this time to Elizabeth Lewis,
with whom he had 4 more children. The family lived in the northwest section of Forsyth County, close to the Cherokee County line. During the Civil War, William served in various capacities, beginning on October 8, 1861, until April 1862. He served as Second Sergeant in Company K, 3rd Regiment, 2nd Brigade of the 1st Division of Georgia State Troops. On May 8th of 1862, William enlisted as a private in Company D, 56th Georgia Infantry Regiment, and was later appointed as First Sergeant. This was the same unit. Both of his sons, Charles Asbury and John Lewis, would both serve, fight, and die. He was captured at Vicksburg, Mississippi on July 4th, 1863, and then paroled soon after. On July 22nd, 1863, he served in Company C, Georgia State Guard, Forsyth County, Cherokee Legion, until January 22nd, 1864. 2 of his other sons, Bright and William Jr., also served and survived the war. So, how do the Gilstraps connect here in Georgia? Well, I have my family ancestry tree here. You can see William M. Gilstrap is right there. We just got finished talking about him. His father was Lewis Wiley Gilstrap. He was from North Carolina and died after he moved to Pickens County, South Carolina. One of his other sons was Wiley R. Gilstrap, or Wiley Rufus Gilstrap. So Wiley Rufus and William Maxwell were brothers. So this is where the 2 lines split from the individuals we saw in the cemetery here and my daughter-in-law's lineage. So Wiley Rufus had a son named John Milton Gilstrap. He also fought for the Confederacy and died in 1863. I'll get into more of that here shortly. But he married Martha C. Pasco. Well, Martha's parents were Samuel and Mary E. Pasco. Samuel Pasco was the brother of John Pasco of the Pasco gold mine that we discussed previously. And like I stated, John Milton Gilstrap was also a Confederate soldier who died in the war. Luckily, Milton Harrison Gilstrap was born just under 2 years prior to his father's death, or the lineage would have stopped there. Continuing on, Milton had a son, John Oliver Jennings Gilstrap. And then John Oliver had a son, and his name was Raymond D. Gilstrap. This would be my daughter-in-law's grandfather. So let's do a little recap here. We have William Maxwell Gilstrap. He's the son of Lewis Wiley Gilstrap and the brother of Wiley R. Gilstrap, making them the 4th great-grandfather and great-granduncle, respectively. Now you have Wiley R.'s son, John M. Gilstrap, who was the 3rd great-grandfather, along with his first cousins, John L. Gilstrap, Charles A. Gilstrap, Bright Gilstrap, and William Maxwell Gilstrap Jr. All fought in the Civil War, but only 2 survived, Bright and William. Next, we have Milton Harrison Gilstrap, the son of John, who is the 2nd great-grandfather, and his son, John Oliver Jennings Gilstrap, the great-grandfather. So that's how the Gilstrap lineages are connected. 2 brothers choosing different paths and creating their own legacies.
For both of the Gilstrap boys, thank you very much for your service and sacrifice. Well, that concludes today's walk here at St. Andrew's Cemetery, or Andrews Cemetery, in the old town of Oldfield, Georgia, which is right outside of Ball Ground. Very wooded area. This is my first time really going back into the woods and tromping around trying to locate graves. I stopped here for the sole purpose of finding relatives of my daughter-in-law, who hopefully is watching, and finding out what I can about them to link them to her direct line with her father. This all goes, into, discovering history, putting faces and voices to those who are no longer able to speak and no longer able to tell their story. I try to bring breath and life to some of the names and the stories that I find here, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Please don't forget to comment, share the video, like, and definitely subscribe. I want to continue to grow the channel and continue to do what I thoroughly enjoy doing, and hopefully you enjoy doing it with me. So you have a blessed day, and we'll see you on our next walk. Thanks.